Hello everyone. Thanks for watching Edupedia World videos. I am Neeti Saxena and I'll take you through the module 1. We've already covered part 1 and part 2 in the other videos. This is part 3 wherein we would be covering managerial roles and skill set. As in what are the managerial roles and what are the skill sets which the managers require. Mintzberg was the scientist who gave these managerial roles, and he classified the managerial roles into three categories: interpersonal roles, informational roles, and decisional roles. In interpersonal roles, further, you have three categories: figurehead, leader, and liaison, and similarly in informational also you have three. Decisional has four categories, which is entrepreneur, disturbance handler, resource allocator, and negotiator. Now, let's just talk about these roles in detail. When we say interpersonal, interpersonal means between two people. That is, any relationship building that happens between two people or any communication which is happening between two people is called as interpersonal. In interpersonal, there are three roles which have been mentioned by Mintzberg: figurehead, leader, and liaison. Figurehead is basically, uh, you must have noticed in the organizations if you are working, or you must have noticed in your college and in schools where you've studied, that the principal of the school or the head of the institution or the head of a department in an organization does all those formal in the formal ceremonies. He or she is the person who uh, does all the duties, all the symbolic duties. So let's just read this: performs ceremonial and symbolic duties such as greeting visitors, signing legal documents. So he is a figurehead. Like we in our homes, we have the head of the family who is supposed to do all the symbolic duties. So similarly, in the organizations also, the head or the manager is the person who is doing the role of a figurehead. Second is leader. Of course, a manager or the head of the organization has to have those leadership qualities wherein he can train, counsel, communicate, and motivate the subordinates to work in one particular direction to achieve the organization goals. Liaison. You must have heard the word liasoning in your daily routine also, wherein it means maintaining good relationships with outside with, the organization and within the organization also. So a manager performs these three roles: figurehead, leader, and he is the person who maintains liaison with the other organizations and within the organization as well. Second category of the roles is informational, which is related to information sharing. So when we talk about information sharing, there are three roles which a manager plays: monitoring, disseminator, and spokesperson. Monitoring is basically checking what kind of information has to be given to the subordinates, what kind of information has to be given to the outside people, which information is supposed to be kept only with the top management or with the middle management level. So the manager monitors the kind of information which is to be given to the people. Disseminator, he forwards information to other organization members, send memos and reports, and make phone calls. So he is the person who disseminates or who spreads the information to the subordinates and to the outside people, depending upon what kind of information needs to be forwarded. Spokesperson, he transmits information to outsiders through speeches, reports, memos, and represent department interests, because the manager or the head of the department is the person who comes forward in meetings and represents his organization or department and speaks on behalf of the entire employees. So we've covered the interpersonal and informational roles. The third category of roles is decisional. In decisional, uh, role, the manager is supposed to make certain decisions which are important for the organization and is also important for the employees. So decisional, you can say there are three basic categories: disturbance handler, resource allocator, and negotiator. Let's first discuss resource allocator. The manager or the head of the department is the person who decides what resources are to be used, what is the budget of the organization, which person would be doing what kind of work. So basically, the different resources, he decides how they have to be utilized. In every organization there is some kind of conflict which happens. So when conflict comes into picture, there is definitely a person who needs to manage the conflicts in a way that a mutual consensus can be achieved. So we say that the manager is the person who maintains or who resolves these conflicts And that is the reason we say that a manager is a negotiator and disturbance handler, because if there is a conflict, it might happen that some kind of negotiation is required between the trade unions and the management, or between sales, purchase and budgets. So there are different kind of conflicts that can happen in an organization, and a manager is the person who resolves the conflicts through negotiation and maintains the decorum of the organization. So these are the managerial roles which were told by Mintzberg. When we say that the organization is going global, everything is going global, the managers' roles are also changing. If we talk about the primitive organizations and today's organization, we've already discussed in our module 1, part 1, that there've been a lot of changes between these organizations. And so also the managerial roles and the managerial job has changed. How it has changed, that the customers have become very important in today's world. There is a lot of innovation which is required in today's world. So according to that, the managerial role is also changed. See, this is a very beautiful flowchart which is depicting the changes and the impact of changes. For example, if we talk about changing technology, when the technology is changing, automatically there are new concepts which are coming, like virtual workplace, more mobile workforce, flexible work arrangements, empowered employees. People are working in different shifts. There are virtual organizations. That is, there is no organization wherein there is no place wherein people are coming and working together, but everyone is working virtually through internet connections. So in this scenario, the manager has to be very smart to manage and keep a check on the employees, because all the employees are sitting in a different location. The employees are not sitting in one particular place. So with changing technology, of course there are new challenges which the managers have to face. Second is increased threats to security. See, when globalization is happening, when every information is stored on the internet, we say that, information is stored in the clouds. So with this, there is of course a possibility of leakage of information. Also, a lot of mergers and acquisition keeps on happening, a lot of outsourcing is happening. So when you are outsourcing your process to some other company, there is always a threat of leakage of your patent products, or your leakage of your some important information. So of course the manager has to control that as well. With the increase in globalization, there are a lot of values which are changing. People from different workforce diversity, they are coming and working together. So of course, for your organization, you need to redefine the values, you need to increase the accountability factor. You need to engage your employees in a way that the employees feel belongs to the organization. So a lot of things are changing in today's world, and with that, of course, the managers have to become more and more smart to manage the employees and the various resources of the organization. See, last point, as it is mentioned in the slide, increased competitiveness with the globalization and with increase in competitors in every industry. It becomes even more important to provide good customer service, to bring in innovation in the products, to increase the efficiency and productivity of the organization. So for all these things, it becomes very important that the manager has to be loaded with a lot of competencies and skill sets. So let's just look into that. What are those skill sets which are required to become a good manager? Of course, the knowledge and skill is required. See, there is a difference between the two words, knowledge and skill. As you can see in the slide, there is a steering which tells you how to how to drive through a steering. So when we say that the managers need to be even more smart in today's globalized world, so definitely they need to be loaded with a lot of competencies and a lot of skill sets. Let's just go through the different competencies which are required by today's managers. Of course, they require knowledge and skill. There is a difference between the two words, knowledge and skill. Knowledge is the basic understanding of a concept. For example, if you want to learn driving, you know that the steering helps you to change the direction of the car. but the skill is that you can actually drive the car in a crowded place. So a manager definitely needs to have his concepts clear, but at the same time he needs to have that practical knowledge of applying those concepts in today's globalized world. So knowledge and skill both are necessary. Adaptability is very important. Today's organizations, and I had already mentioned in the previous videos also, that today's organizations have become very very flexible and adaptable, and so also the manager needs to be very very adaptable and very flexible to adapt the changes which are happening in the external environment. Resilient, that in case if the manager was not able to perform, or in case if the organization was doing well but then drooped down, the profit margins drooped down, so the manager should be resilient enough like a spring that he can bounce back with double energy, and he can re-hit the market with double profitability. Soiling the hands and readiness means that the manager should be very handy with certain things, like when it comes to making the strategy, developing the strategy for the organization. He should be a risk taker, that whenever a strategy needs to be developed or some new thing needs to be implemented, he should have that risk taker ability. Quest for knowledge is very important because the manager needs to understand what new things are coming in the market, what new concepts have been introduced in the different product ranges. Solidity, robustness, strong foundation, and a solid character is very important. And as I mentioned in the previous slides also, that with the globalization, there is change in values and there is redevelopment of trust, and more belongingness towards the organization is required. That can be only possible if the manager or the leader of the organization has a solid character and is very, very robust. So with this, we come to the end of module 1. I'll just mention it again that when you're watching this video, I would request you to also watch part 1 and part 2 videos of module 1, wherein we've covered what a manager is, what management is, what is an organization, what are the different functions of manager like planning, organizing, leading, controlling. So when you're watching this video, please make sure that you also watch part 1 and part 2 of module 1. So with this video, I can say that we've come to the end of module 1. Please also watch module 2, wherein I have very deeply explained the scientific theory and the classical theory and how the different management theories evolved. Thank you so much.